Welcome back to Valley Boys Digimon TCG. I'm CK. Welcome to the channel. This year we're going to try something a little different. I'm going to try a new layout for the video so you can see what's going on. You can see on the screen it's a little different. I'm going to have to adjust the way I shoot my videos going forward, honestly, because I'm a little too cropped in for you to see some stuff on the bottom. But without further ado, I bring you my tournament run with a ShoutmonDX deck. Now, this was the first locals of the new year, and I decided to run something older, a tribute to Waylon, if you will. Waylon currently is no longer playing Digimon for the time being, so I thought I'd do a throwback in honor of my channel mate Waylon. So I will be playing ShoutmonDX on the left, and my opponent is playing Gaiomon or the Blackboard Greymon deck on the right. So let's dive into it. As you can see, my opponent on the right has a stack with the Blocker Greymon inherited already, and then into a Greymon X antibody. On the left, I have a Gaiomon. Now, Gaiomon works with this deck because all these Shoutmon give inherited to those with Blitz, and this Gaiomon does have Blitz, so he kind of benefits and works with the archetype. My opponent already builds up into the Metal Greymon, passing me 2, so I just go into Omni Shoutmon on the left and give him back his turn at 1. He's got a Coromon and Raising. We're both kind of playing a little slow here, just kind of waiting to see what the other one's going to do. I really think he wasn't expecting what I was playing. Nobody was expecting what I was playing that day, honestly. So we see an Agumon and then a tie to pass me to 3, get him a Memory Setter going. Now, Omni Shoutmon here gives me a lot of options depending on what I have in hand. And the big thing about this ShoutmonDX is it actually has a surprising amount of board control and removal kind of built in. It does feel more like it's an aggro deck. You have a lot of security swings and you have Blitz. So I decided to play the Rowdy Rocker, add another Shoutmon to my stack. This deck has a pretty good amount of draw power with the Shoutmon inherited, Rowdy Rocker, and Fireball. So we go into the ShoutmonDX here, passing over 4, and then we can add a red Digimon to the source, and we add the Z Greymon, which will allow me, while attacking with Blitz, to swing over his unsuspended Digimon. So now we're removing the stack. We only put him to the 3 that he would start with anyway, and we got a big body on board that can help us control what's going on. And with that Omni Shoutmon inherited, it should be swinging for 2 checks every turn. So we're in a good position. Our opponent's going to have to rebuild, and we've got a big mon on board. As long as he doesn't hit us with some big removal, we've got some good tempo. And you see him play the red Memory Boost and picks up another Metal Greymon, so I have to worry about the D-Digivolve effect that could become incoming. So we hatch. We've got another Rookie and Raising. Forgot to unsuspend there. Got to unsuspend. So I end up playing another Rowdy Rocker, which will let me put in the Security Attack Greymon underneath. So now we should be swinging for 3 checks at 14, 16k, something like that, depending on the inherited. So we hit the Hero Tamer, a cool boy, so no need to worry about the effects. He gets a X antibody off that, and then we hit the Gaiomon, but luckily I am over 13k, so we're pretty safe there. And then we just drop our hero, and we're pretty set up to go for game next turn, as long as he doesn't do anything to kill us here. But he does have 4 memory plus a boost on board, so he's got a lot to work with. If he doesn't remove my source, I'm just going to go in, finish the checks, and then swing with Shoutmon for game. So he's got to do something here. Goes into the X antibody to gain another memory and draw power. Yeah, that cool boy's so good for all these X antibody decks. And there you see it there. It goes into the Metal Greymon to D-Digivolve me, so now he can just swing over me. I think that should be the play he goes for here. Try to remove my big boy. This is where I made the misplay, because when I Digivolved into that DX, that Z Greymon was actually supposed to be put at the top of the Digivolution sources, not at the bottom. So that was my mistake early game, and that's what cost me some tempo here, because I should have been D-Digivolved back into a Z Greymon as opposed to this Omni Shoutmon. But it doesn't make a difference, because he's D-Digivolving me again, going into Gaiomon, and then he can just, with his Blitz, he can just swing over my suspended Digimon. So it doesn't really change anything, because that Gaiomon would have Digivolved me into Omni Shoutmon, and him being a 13k, even if I was Zeke, he would have swung over it either way. So it doesn't make a big difference in this game, but it is something to note going forward, that when you evo to ShoutmonDX, you tuck a red Digimon to the top of your sources, not the bottom. promote the Shoutmon. We'll go into battle here. We'll swing battle. We'll tap since it is a Gaiomon, so we'll be swinging with Blitz, draw, Guri, draw, and Hero swinging for 8k 1 check. So this is where battle works well because he gets the extra draw power from Guri and Shoutmon. And then we just drop another Shoutmon on board to get a search going. Let's see, with ShoutmonDX and a Blitz Omni. So I believe we can grab both of those because I can grab one with Shoutmon and one with Blitz. So my opponent's build it again and raising. Agumon X. He can swing in here for 2 checks, but you see I still have full security. He's down to 1, so I just need to swing 2 more times. So I think the smart thing for him to do is probably just to remove that battle to slow me down, because otherwise I can probably go for game next turn. And really he's just trying to salvage what he can at this point, but this ShoutmonDX puts a lot of pressure and it's very, very fast. I forgot how fast this deck was, and this was my first time actually playing it myself at locals. Yeah, there he goes over the Battle Gaiomon. And he still has some interesting things and just plays another red mem boost. Passed me the 3 thanks to my hero, and looks like he's going to grab another Metal Greymon. That Metal Greymon's really clutch for all these War Greymon decks, whether black or regular. So we got a Guri, we go into the old promo Gaiomon. We swing with Shout, and then boom, we have the hybrid for game. Yeah, this deck has a lot of aggro. As you see, I don't think he even touched the security that round. Now we're going into game 2, and I'm starting off, hatching the Guri, going to the Gaiomon. Gaiomon, another one that's fun to have in this deck. And then we just drop the Shoutmon to get our search on. We get to get 1 Shoutmon, and that's pretty much it. Opponent got his Koromon out. Promo Agumon. And just dropping the red memory boost to get their own search on. I'm guessing they're missing top 4. Remind him the top 4. Guessing, nope, no, looking for the X antibody. I was gonna guess it was the level 4 they were missing. But they go into the X antibody and then go into a Greymon, the black one that gives blocker. And since I have Shoutmon on board, I decide, hey, let's just go for it. And we use the warp function to go into Omni Shoutmon for a cost of 4, putting him back to only 1 memory. Now he does have that red memory boost. Oh, sorry, 2 memory. He's at 2 memory. Does have that red memory boost to go up if he wants to. He could kind of hurt me here by promoting and going into the Metal Greymon to de-digivolve me and just pop the Shoutmon. But instead he just drops an Agumon to get another search going. And I'm lucky that he didn't go into the Metal Greymon. It was a very risky play on my part. So I'm at 1 memory and I got to make a decision what I want to do here. And then I go into the Omni Shoutmon X antibody. Now this is a card that actually is very under the radar. So as long as I have an Omni Shoutmon in source, I can swing over his unsuspended Digimon. So now I have a little bit of board control. I swing over that Agumon and then just drop the tie to set me up for 3 memory going forward. Now, this tournament I was trying out the deck and trying out this Omni Shoutmon X antibody, and I grew to love it. One thing that it evolves over the Omni Shoutmon for 0, and then as long as that Omni Shoutmon's still in its sources, it can swing over unsuspended. And it has Blitz. So if I were to evolve over my normal, it gets Blitz. And on top of that, because it has Blitz, the Shoutmon inherited that gives plus 2k for Blitz. So he can be 10k on board, just clearing my opponent's 10k or less, or 9k or less Digimon. So very, very interesting card that I would probably run more of. So you see he's got the X antibody. He plays pops his memory boost. He goes to play the win rate, but he realizes he can't. He has no white source, or he has no tamer on board, so he can't do that. So now he's kind of in a tricky position because he's already committed to go into the X antibody. He does have DP boost and plus security, so he can go one of 2 ways here. And decides to go into the Gaiomon, which will then de-digivolve me 1, and then he's swinging with Blitz for 2, 3 checks at security if he wants, or he can swing over Omni Shout and clear that. And he decides to go to security airball, so I just get to draw 2 off of that, then hits the DX and then an Gaiomon, so nothing to worry about. And now he has reboot and blocker, so he's gonna be an issue for me. So I've promoted up the Gaiomon, and here I am thinking about what my next turn is. I decide to digivolve here into the Gaiomon X Antibody. This one has an interesting synergy with the ShoutmonDX. And then over Omni Shout, here we go, ShoutmonDX to tuck in the Z Gaiomon. Because of the Shoutmon inheritable, I am at 14k, and Z Gaiomon lets me swing over his Gaiomon, who's only 13k. So quickly took care of that big body on board. And you see this deck, even though it's an aggro deck, has some good control elements. Now that Gaiomon X Antibody tech is something I'm trying out because ShoutmonDX lets you, for each Omni Shoutmon and Z Gaiomon in his sources, one digivolving, destroy something that's 5k or less. Now with that X Antibody Gaiomon, I'm able to pop something that's 6k or less, which is a much broader range of targets. Targets almost all level 4s. So it's something I'm taking out. Didn't really come up much in the tournament, but it's good to have. So my opponent's restarting, rebuilding in the raising, and he digivolves into Metal Gaiomon and raising, which kind of feels like a waste because then he can't de-digivolve me. And yes, I did mistake. The Z Gaiomon should be on the top of my sources when I digivolve into DX. But again, like I said, I messed up this round. I fixed it in the further rounds. And then I just play a Shoutmon to get my pluses. I get to pull a Shoutmon and get to pull a Digimon with Blitz, which is why I play the Battle Gaiomon in this deck. And now my opponent's against the ropes here. I will go ahead and swing in. I'm going to have 2 checks. I hit the boost and hit a Metal Gaiomon, so I know that he doesn't have too many of those to go. And then I just digivolve into the 1-cost Monochromon blocker to kind of memory choke him a little bit. He does have the boost, but we're set up nicely to go for game next turn, and we have, in case he does try to swing over me, we have a blocker on board. And then he goes into the X Antibody here, giving him plus 3k and an extra security check. So he can go in and clear my security, but I don't think there's much else he would be able to do with that. And of course, if he tries to swing in with the extra check, I have the blocker on board to try to slow him down. He's really got to find a way to come back here. And then he goes into the Gaiomon here, which will de-digivolve me. And he decides to digivolve the blocker so that he can go ahead and, I guess, go in over my my ShoutmonDX. But he decides to go ahead and go and clear my security, hitting, give me a second tie, and then hitting the War Growl, which is another tech. Since ShoutmonDX does pop something, he gives himself an extra security check. So again, part of the aggro package. And here we are. We can swing 2 checks. He decides to block it since I don't have the boost, and then we just swing in with the little guys. First one dies. We go ahead and go into the Omni Shout. Then we go to Shoutmon, Omni Shout X Antibody. Since Omni Shout is in his source and Omni Shout X Antibody has Blitz, this is swinging for 2 checks. And if I have the right Shoutmon underneath, this is 2 checks at 10k, so I can go for game here. But I make the misplay here that I try to clear his stack just in case I die to security. So I go into the DX to try to swing over him, but then he reminds me that he's at 15k. I'm only at 14. He's at 15 because of the Metal Gaiomon X Antibody that he played the turn before. So I just go for security. I should have gone for game. This was my mistake. So really, this is going to cost me the game. I hit a Nokia. He plays out the Agumon X Antibody. I think that shouldn't have happened. I don't think he can play out the X Antibody off a Nokia. I think it has to be an Agumon, not Agumon in its name. And then the second check should be, because I'm swinging for about 4 checks here. Yeah, another Agumon, and then that's game because he's just going to swing in and I have no more security. So that's a misplay on my part. I should have just went for game, but I forgot that he had the boost and I decided to try to go for the board clear to play it safe. So here we are, game 3. Let my opponent go first this time. And I don't remember if he bricked. Yeah, he bricked. He has to just hard play the Gaiomon. He didn't have any rookies in hand, so it gives me a chance to really build something. So get the Guri to shout, and then we decide to play a Shoutmon to get a search going. And ooh, would you look at that? We have Shout and DX, Omni Shoutmon and DX. So we have both Shoutmon in name and and a Blitz, so we can grab both of those. So now we got some options in hand. We can go ahead and warp here, which I think is probably the good idea since we know that he's bricking. But we decided to Digivolve to Monocro and Raising, and then realizing he could have the Metal Gray. This is the risky play, but so we Digivolve into Omni Shout and Raising instead, just in case he has the Metal Gray in hand. If we went to Omni Shout on the board, he would just Digivolve me back and pop my Shoutmon, and then there's the Metal Gaiomon. So yeah, he would have Digivolved me, so a good thing that I did in Raising because it still pops the Shoutmon. So we know we have the DX in hand. Do we have the Z Gaiomon to get some board control? That is the question. And my assumption is we're missing the Zeeg and we don't want to risk it, so we decide to just drop a hero, put him to 2, and play it a little slower this time, just so we can play more of a control game. So there he goes into the Black War Gray, which is just gonna pop the Tamer I just played out. So that's unfortunate. So we're gonna have to figure out what to do here. How do we play this turn? So we play Shoutmon to get another search going. We get the Battle Gaiomon and a Shoutmon King. Now the King is an interesting tech I have because it'll give all my Shoutmons an extra 2k, so it's just to boost my stack. So he goes ahead and swings that security, just hits a little, poor little Gaiomon. First he kills hero, now he kills Gaiomon. They're together in the trash. So now we can move up. Even if we don't have the Z Gaiomon, he's suspended, so we can go into DX to, and I believe we have some boosts in the stack. We should have the right Shoutmon in the stack. If not, we can tuck that King mode in. So we go into the DX, which lets us add, and then ooh, we do get the Zeke, but we decide to add the Biomon underneath. So we're swinging with boost, draw for Guri, draw for Bio for deleting a Digimon, and then getting rid of the Black War Gray. So opponent's got 3, moves up his Gaiomon, and again he's back into the rebuilding phase and goes into the Metal Gaiomon, which again this is the same thing. My mistake. I should have the Biomon at top of sources, so really it should clear my stack. So we go into the Shout here, X antibody, which means I can swing over him. And again, I apologize for the misplays. I had never played this deck in a tournament. This was my first time really fully playtesting it, so I think this does affect the gameplay here. So we drop the tie, and he decides to drop a Cool Boy, get some searches off. And then he drops his own tie to get his own memory setter going. Here we got to decide if we want to go up or just keep going at our pace. We can swing for 2 here. We decide to play the Rowdy Rocker here to get another Digimon underneath. And then we go into the DX, which will let me add another Omni Shoutmon here. And now we're swinging in for 4 checks. Yep, 4 checks, and nothing to worry about there. The Gaiamon's a big body. He gains 1 from the X antibody, so he'll start his turn at 4. But luckily we have the boost on DX, so we're cleared everything pretty safely. So we're threatening lethal next turn, depending on what he can do here. I guess he can try to remove the DX and stall a turn. He's got 4 memory to try to do something, but I'm pretty sure he's bricking pretty bad at this point. No rookie and raising, and just seeing him still fumble through the cards means that we're still waiting for something. So he just drops a Gaiomon, basically hands over game at this point. We go ahead and hatch an Evo in the raising area just to be on the safe side. We swing in, just hit an Agumon, and then Shoutmon for game. So yes, there were some misplays on this one. It gets fixed in the next game. But that's the game, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.